Firefighters in California have warned that hot weather is hampering their efforts to contain a huge wildfire before it reaches Yosemite National Park. It's one of the worst blazes of the year in the state so far and has already forced more than 6,000 people from their homes. It comes as the US climate envoy John Kerry told the BBC that President Biden is now considering declaring a climate emergency. Louisa Pilbeam has more.
This is what it sounds like when your home goes up in flames. Another home, another wildfire as California burns again. This Army veteran is spending his wedding anniversary waiting, hoping that the house he left will be okay.
My family grew up there, my kids, and I don't know, just sad.
People have left with the bare essentials, whatever that may be.
Well, the main thing was family and our pets. Everything else is replaceable. And that's what what I care about.
3 days on and firefighters say they don't have the fires under control. More than 6,000 people have been forced to leave their homes, and the fire may reach Yosemite National Park, where ancient trees may burn too. The 8 largest fires since records began in California have happened in the last 5 years, with global temperatures rising. The US president is considering declaring a climate emergency, according to the US climate envoy John Kerry.
It is less than ideal not to have the entire Congress full-throatedly adopting some of the measures that need to be taken so that the world can see a very united United States moving in this direction.
Declaring a climate emergency would give President Biden additional powers to push his renewable energy agenda. But that won't stop these flames. Only the firefighters who battle on hope to do that. Louisa Pilbeam, BBC News.
Well, journalist Tom Lydon joins us now from the town of Musade in California. Thanks for joining us. What's the latest situation on how the fires are moving?
There was a meeting just a short time ago, about 2 hours ago, at the Mariposa High School. Packed house in a high school gymnasium to hear the very latest. 15,000 acres have burned so far. To put that in perspective, we're talking about 24 square miles or 60 kilometers. So it's an enormous, enormous area. The situation's dire, as you said. About 6,000 people evacuated so far, no deaths or injuries. But there is this little sort of glimmer of hope. And the glimmer of hope is this, that the fire appears to be moving in the northeast direction at an area called Bryceburg and Heights Cove. Bad news, that is closer to Yosemite National Park. It is into the Sierra National Forest, but it's in an area that is much less populated. It is also in an area where a fire went through 4 years ago, a very large fire, Ferguson fire. And while there is still debris and trees that will burn, there is less. That is fire-scarred territory. So the hope is that it will somehow slow this fire down, which right now is at zero containment. So the situation is dire, but there was a feeling of optimism at that meeting. I'll also tell you, I am one of the evacuees. I've been staying with my husband and I have been staying with my mother, and we were in an evacuation advisory zone on the southern edge of this fire. Most of the activity right now is towards the north, but we were at the southern edge and we decided to get out while we could. It was interesting hearing that interview that you just played of someone who said, we just got our animals out and our belongings. And I will tell you, once we got our cat into boarding, we felt a huge amount of relief. It's funny, the psychology of disaster, that when the chips are down and you got to make decisions, the things you take and the things you leave, it's extraordinary, really.
Tom, I'm glad you and your husband are out safely. I was also caught up in a forest fire in France last year, so I know exactly what this feels like. It is terrifying. The thing that many people will be asking is, what can be done by the authorities in terms of, containment by water, and are enough people being helped to evacuate in enough time? Because these fires move often much faster than people realise.
Well, they sure do. In fact, one of the battalion chiefs said he's never seen fire behavior like this oak fire. Just in the initial hours, you had those pyrocumulus clouds that almost look like nuclear mushroom clouds. Very, very fast moving at the beginning. We have 2,000 firefighters on scene right now. So we have a lot of people, and the evacuation's gone pretty well. There are some people who are refusing to evacuate. That's unfortunate, but I think the evacuation is going well. We were watching from my mom's backyard. We were watching airdrops today. They certainly have a lot of equipment and a lot of personnel. This is now the largest fire in California. But it's been a terrible 5 years. I mean, the last 5 years have been the driest in California in 1,200 years. We're in the middle of a 20-year drought. I mean, in some sense, there's nothing we can do except be reactive to this. I mean, that's what we're doing right now. And I will tell you, I've watched, part of this is it's cumulative, right? About 5 years ago, we started having pine trees dying left and right because of drought. And because of the drought, there was a pine beetle that infested them. So part of the problem here, they're calling it the oak fire, but there are also a lot of pine trees in this area. There are a lot of dead pine trees that are just standing, that are completely dead. The fire gets to these, they're like a Roman candle. They just go up. And in fact, they almost kind of explode. They can also topple on firefighters. So it's very, very dangerous work. In fact, during the Ferguson fire 4 years ago, we lost 2 local firefighters. So, firefighters are dearly loved in Mariposa County, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I have seen those pine trees go up, and it is utterly terrifying. Tom, I hope everyone there stays as safe as possible and listens to the warnings to get out quickly whilst they can. Tom Lydon, thank you very much.
Thank you.